Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Roush will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. I'm your own personal sales maven, and I am here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master the sales conversation. Today's episode is all about LinkedIn connections and best practices, specifically for making connections and selling to people through your messages. Before I get into the content, I want to do a shout out for somebody who took the time to leave me a 5-star review. Thank you so much. It really delights me in a way that is hard to describe when somebody takes the time to leave a review and has nice things to say. So thank you so much for doing this. Here is what the 5-star review says. It says, here's the subject line of it. It says, everything you wanted to know about selling, but were afraid to ask. We were first introduced to Nikki through Dr. Megan Walker's Anthropology podcast. We were so blown away that we immediately contacted her and asked if we could interview her on our YouTube channel, She's on Top, a channel sharing stories of amazing women entrepreneurs and change makers. Not only was the interview informative and insightful, but it was so much fun. Nikki's smart but lighthearted approach makes the idea of selling very appealing. Since then, we listen to her podcast daily. She is money in the bank. This comes from Franny Pup via Apple Podcasts in Canada. These two ladies that have this YouTube channel, She's on Top, they are amazing. And I do recommend checking out their YouTube channel. It was super fun to be interviewed by them and to watch some of the other things that they're doing and the amazing ladies that they're bringing in for their own audience. So thank you so much for the review. I really appreciate it. As a listener, if it's okay to ask, would you also leave your own review for the podcast? This helps other people find their way to the podcast, and or share it with somebody that you know who might benefit. It is so thrilling to watch the numbers climb as people are starting to listen to the podcast and to see on social media when people are tagging me, that they're out for their walks and they're listening to my podcast. It makes it all worthwhile. And I just am super appreciative, grateful, so thankful for them. All right, let's get into the content for today's episode. Now, I talked about this is all about LinkedIn connections. Now, if you're on LinkedIn, you probably are receiving a lot of connections, and there's a lot of people who are going right in for the hard sale on those LinkedIn connections, which I don't recommend. I don't think it's a good way to build relationships. And there are a lot of phenomenal LinkedIn experts out there who can help you with some of your messaging, but I am going to use a message that I received, and I'm going to break down the message more so than I ever have before, because I really want to give you a sense of how it can be done so much better. And with a little bit of effort and just a little bit of tweaks to the way your messages are being written, they will be received in a much better way. People will be much more open to these messages. Now, I'm going to use one example of a message that I received. Frankly, I could have used 25 just from this link, just from this month alone, LinkedIn connections that I've received from people that I then sometimes am sorry that I accepted their friend requests on LinkedIn because they go right in for the hard sell, or they're just bombarding me with all the information about how freaking awesome they are. Okay, good for you. That's not interesting to the reader. So I'm using an example of one that came to me, which, by the way, I'm not calling anybody out here. This is not about shaming anybody. This is a learning opportunity. If this person happens to be listening to the podcast, I get it. I get that you might be upset that I'm sharing your message. I'm not calling you out. Nobody will know that it's you unless you sent this message to a bunch of other people, and then they may know. And if they bring this to your attention, I hope you'll use this as a true learning opportunity for you on how to make your messages better. Because this example of a message that I'm about to read to you, frankly, the way it's received, and I tested this before I decided to do this podcast episode. I tested this in the Sales Maven Society. So sometimes I'll take messages that people send and I'll put learning opportunity. What about this message? Do you like or do you not like? Or what do you think could have happened in this message that would have had it be more or better received by the reader? What could this person change? And then people go in and put all their responses. It's kind of a fun thing that we do in the Sales Maven Society. Again, it's not about shaming anybody. It's just about having some awareness, because sometimes what happens is people will see their own typical language pattern in these messages and go, oh, with a little bit of effort, I could make my message so much better. So this is my disclaimer here that it isn't about shaming somebody, and that's not my intention behind sharing it. My intention is to give you some what to do better, how to do it differently, how to change up your language, because it all counts. It really does. Years ago, when I first started studying neurolinguistic programming, I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast before, but my teacher used to tell this story about Nazardine. And it was, I feel like maybe I have told it on the podcast, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because I love stories. So Nazardine, this is a fable that comes from, a long, long time ago. And Nazardine is usually kind of told, there's a lot of stories about Nazardine, some of them where Nazardine is the hero, some where he's the trickster, but this is a Nazardine story. And it's about that Nazardine decides one day that he is going to go down to the local market and put up his own booth. And he's going to make a big sign, and it says, any 2 questions, 2 dinar. Dinar was their money in that era, and any 2 questions, 2 dinar. And somebody came by and they stopped and they looked at the sign above his table that he had set out, and it was just him sitting at the table, ready to answer questions. And the person puts down their dinar and says, don't you think that's a lot of money for just 2 questions? To which Nazardine said, yes. Next question. And the idea behind this story is that it all counts. Everything you say and write, it counts, and it can be better if you're willing to put in a little bit of effort. So the the message I'm about to read to you, my personal opinion about this message is lazy at best and frankly condescending at worst. And you can decide where it falls for you. And if you like the message, well, hopefully you'll continue to listen to the podcast and you might have some new awareness at the end as I start to break this down sentence by sentence. So I'm going to just read it first, and then I'm going to start to break it down for you. So here's the message. It was sent to me, so it starts off, Nikki. 2020 has been crazy, ! I hope you have been steady during these times, period. I'm currently looking for partnerships in 2021. I have a huge network and I haven't put a plan together to really focus on building my joint ventures, affiliates, referral partners, and it's only been on demand, period. This next year, that has to, all capitals there, has to change. I am currently interviewing for partners in 2021, and I love what you're doing in this thought leader space, period. I'm wondering if you'd be interested in jumping on a connection call to talk about partnering and see how we can collaborate in 2021, period. Let's put something on the books soon and chat. Be ready to talk about who is your ideal audience, what products or services do you offer, and what your promotional calendar looks like this year. And then there was a link to her calendar to schedule a time. So that's the message. I don't know. If you got a message like that, would you be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. How flattering that this person reached out to me. Or would you be like, delete? Now, this happens to be somebody who I've known for many years. So we didn't just get a LinkedIn connection. We've been connected on LinkedIn for a while. I don't know this person really well, and frankly, haven't seen or talked to this person in maybe 5 years, maybe more. So to get this message out of the blue, again, it feels a little like, with a little bit of effort, it could have been so much better. So I'm going to break it down sentence by sentence and see what you think. So here's the first two sentences, I guess I should say. It says, Nikki, 2020 has been crazy, ! I hope you've been steady during these times, period. Here's why this message, these first two sentences are a missed opportunity. Because there's no real rapport here. She didn't ask me a question. She just told me what it was for her. And then she's telling me what she hopes for me, which may be the intention. I'm sure the intention is positive. Like her intention is to not be negative. But to say, I hope you've been steady during these times. Well, if you really want to have a conversation with somebody in a LinkedIn connection, don't tell them what you hope or what you want for them. Ask a question. Ask them. Because questions are how conversations happen. You ask somebody a question, they take the time to answer it. They then ask you a question. Guess what? Now we're in conversation. There's real back and forth happening. One of the biggest mistakes that I see, and this is why my focus in 2021 is all I've decided that 2021 for me and all that I'm going to teach is going to be the year of the question. Because I am so sick of being talked at. And I think most of us are sick of people just talking at us all the time. I want to be talked with, and I hope you do too. And the way you talk with people is by asking questions. And the way you build rapport with people is to ask questions and make real connections. Stop talking at people. You might have heard me say this before, but sales is not something you do to somebody. Sales is something you do with somebody. And the way that you have with type interactions is through questions. So again, those are the first two sentences. And I am going to give you a possible rewrite, and we'll see if you like my version of how this message could have been so much better. So here's the next part of the message. It says, I'm currently looking for partnerships in 2021. I have a huge network, and I haven't put a plan together to really focus on building my joint ventures, affiliates, referral partners. It's been only on demand. Okay, so you're asking for me to give up my time and you're telling me you have no plan? Why would I do that as the reader? As the reader, why would you give this person your time? You want me to do something, but you don't even have a plan. And it's a little bit, again, it feels a little condescending to me. I don't know if you agree. I'm fine if you don't. But to be like, all of my business has just been on demand. Okay, good for you. That's not interesting to the reader. It's only interesting to the reader if you make it relevant to them. And there's no effort being made here to make it relevant to the reader. Now, here's the next part of the message. It says, this next year, that has to change, in all caps. Okay, why are you yelling at me about what you want to do? That's not interesting. And then it says, I'm currently interviewing for partners in 2021, and I love what you're doing in this thought leader space. Okay, this is such a missed opportunity here. Like, even if this person had just taken the time to say, I'm interested in what you're doing in the sales space, like make it relevant in some way to the person you're sending the message, this thought leader space, that is such a throwaway garbage line. Like, ugh. Okay. So it's a generic message. This person, I'm sure, cut and pasted it and probably sent it out to however many connections this person has on LinkedIn. This is what's known as the shotgun approach to sales, where you just try to like shoot a bunch of things and see what you hit. My opinion and what I teach is that is such a waste of time. Be strategic in your conversations. Be strategic in the people. Like it sounds to me like you're just going to ask anybody and everybody to be a referral partner or an affiliate partner for you. And you really don't care at all about what their message is and about whether or not they have any credibility or if they have an audience. Like, I don't want to be one of nobodies. Like, I want my work to count. So don't treat me like I'm just one of nobodies. Like, if you really care about my thought leadership on sales, then say that. But if you want my thought leadership on, the color of the year, I'm not your gal for that because that's not my expertise. It's just such a waste. It's just such a wasted opportunity. I know I'm on a soapbox with this. But these are the messages that are showing up in my LinkedIn connection and in my LinkedIn messages, and I'm sure in yours as well. I get these also on Instagram. I get this stuff on Facebook too, that just feels like, oh my gosh, it's such a throwaway, like wasted opportunity because I took the time to at least read it. And if you really wanted me to respond, then you should have taken some time to make the message relevant to the reader. Okay, so here's the next part. It says, I'm wondering if you would be interested in jumping on a connection call to talk about partnering and see how we can collaborate in 2021. Okay, there's a period at the end of that sentence. So you're telling me what you're wondering. You're actually not asking me a question, which the appropriate question would be, would you be interested in talking about us partnering or collaborating in 2021. Maybe it was a typo. Maybe she meant to, but grammatically, it isn't actually a question. It's a statement. And statements are talking at people, not with them. Statements are not conversations. They're just statements. They're not that interesting to a reader. So again, a missed opportunity here. And then the last part, the wrap up here is let's put something on the books soon and chat. Be ready to talk about who is your ideal audience, what products or services do you offer, and what your promotional calendar looks like this year. Okay. That sounds a little demanding. If you want to build rapport with people, do not make demands, especially when you're talking to people. No, just anybody. I'm not even going to, I was going to say when you're talking to people who are busy, who actually have a business, who are not going to just jump through hoops for you because you make a demand. Like, I don't know who you think you are, but you're not the boss of me. I can tell you that. And I don't respond well to demands. I don't respond well to demands in my private life, and I definitely don't respond to in my business life either. So making demands of people like this, instead of if she had formed it in a question, oh my gosh, it would have been so much like, it would have landed more pleasant. It would have landed like, I'm really interested in connecting versus like, hey, I'm a really big deal. I'm such a big deal that I'm interviewing people. Like, who cares? I don't care if you have an audience of 100 million people. That is just not interesting. Like, to the reader, it's just not. Okay. So here's the message one more time, all the way through, and then I'm going to give you what I would suggest. This is what I would have done if this person was in my group and had asked me before sending this message out, like, how can I make this message more interesting to the reader? How can I really engage somebody? Because if I'm going to spend the time even cutting and pasting this message, like, what would be your suggestion? So again, here's the message one more time. Nikki, 2020 2020 has been crazy. I hope you've been steady during these times. I am currently looking for partnerships in 2021, and I have a huge network and haven't put a plan together to really focus on building my joint ventures, affiliates, referral partners. It's been only on demand. This next year, that has to change. I am currently interviewing for partners in 2021, and I love what you're doing in this thought leader space. I'm wondering if you'd be interested in jumping on a connection call to talk about partnering and see how we can collaborate in 2021. Let's put something on the books soon and chat. Be ready to talk about your ideal audience, what products or services you do offer, and what your promotional calendar looks like this year. All right, so that's the message. Now, I'm going to read what would be my version of this message if a client had asked me for my feedback. I would have done this instead, and we'll see if you like it. Nikki, how has 2020 been for you and your business? Have you been able to maintain and even grow your business during these crazy times? Those are 2 questions that I would start off with. And then I'm going to say the purpose of reaching out is to check to see if you might be interested in chatting about joint ventures, affiliates, and or referral partner programs that we each might benefit from in 2021. Is this something you'd be open to having a conversation about? Question mark at the end of that. Your expertise in sales would benefit my large audience. My expertise in XYZ might also benefit your audience. Let's set up a quick chat to discuss the possibility of joining forces and supporting each other this coming year. Here are a few possible times for a Zoom call. And then I'm going to write out some potential times because saying let's set up a time soon to chat never gets a call scheduled. But giving people 3 possible times to chat, they're much more likely to say yes to that and actually pick a time. And then I say, you're also welcome to select a time using this link if that's easier for you. And then I would put a calendar link. I would never say to somebody, here's my calendar link, schedule a time with me. Because that sounds like I think I'm more important than you and you should do the work, but this person is looking for partners. There's no partnership in that message when you just send somebody a calendar link. It sounds like I'm a really big deal. Here's my calendar link. Get on it. No thanks. I get these all the time, by the way. People go like, here's a link, schedule a time to meet with me. Again, you're not the boss of me. No, is always my answer to that. And then I would wrap up this message by saying, looking forward to connecting. So here's my version of it again. Nikki, how has 2020 been for you and your business? Have you been able to maintain and even grow your business during these crazy times? The purpose of reaching out is to check to see if you might be interested in chatting about joint ventures, affiliates, and or referral partner programs that we each might benefit from in 2021. Is that something you'd be open to having a conversation about? Your expertise in sales would benefit my large audience. My expertise in XYZ might also benefit your audience. Let's set up a quick chat to discuss the possibility of joining forces and supporting each other this coming year. Here are a few possible times for a Zoom call. And then I'm going to list 3 times. You're also welcome to select a time using this link if that's easier for you. Looking forward to connecting. Now, that to me is putting forth some effort. That is not a shotgun approach to sales. That's being strategic in your conversation. That is talking with somebody and not talking at somebody, even over a message. So again, the idea behind recording this podcast episode and giving you this insight is hopefully for you to be willing to take a step back before you hit send on your messages and ask yourself, is this conveying the right type of message? Am I acting like I'm a bigger deal than the person I'm sending the message to? Because that's condescending. Like, I really don't care how big of a deal you are. If you treat me like I'm less than, that doesn't do anything for me. Even if I think I am less than you, that still is not going to build rapport. Take the time to really send messages that make people elevate, lift people up. Even if you think somebody's beneath you, which I would question you to like thinking that about somebody, but even if you feel like, gosh, this person is so inexperienced, but why are you asking them to be a partner then? Like, stop elevating yourself by putting other people down. Like, we're all in this together. Collaboration, partnerships are about elevating our partners. They're about lifting people up. And that is when people start to really connect with your message, is when you can do that. So make sure you're taking the time and think about Nazardine. It all counts. Is 5 dinar a lot for 2 questions? Yes. Next question. Move on. Okay. So I think I mentioned this. I have decided that 2021 is the year of the question. So as we go forward as a listener, you're going to be receiving some crucial sales questions that I know are going to increase your engagement and will allow for real conversation to unfold, whether it's through your social media posts, whether it's through your actual live conversations with a potential client or with an existing client. So I'm going to be offering at the end of podcast a question, and I'm going to dig deep on questions. I am putting in 52 question trainings inside the Sales Maven Society because I am going to do everything in my power to teach my members how to have real sales connection conversations through questioning. So I'm going to be doing and recording 52 individual question trainings. Like, I'm committed to this, and I'm going to share these questions here. I'm not going to go into the detail. I'm not going to give you all the ins and outs of it or different ways to ask, but I am going to give you a question as a listener because I value you as a listener. And whether or not you're in my group, I do want you to benefit from the time that we are spending together. I want for this to make a difference for you. So here's the question from today's, like what I've gone through today, but here's a question you might want to write down. Start asking people, is that something you'd be open to having a conversation about? That question alone is going to open doors for you, okay? So if you're ready for more around sales questions and you want to dig deep and get some clarity around bringing these questions into your conversations, into your interactions with people so that you stop talking at people and you start talking with people, then you're invited to join the Sales Maven Society because we are going to be spending a tremendous amount of time on this year. So this is an opportunity where we can connect. There's a lot of training available, a lot of sales content in there for you. But this question component is going to be a big deal going forward in 2020. So you bring your questions, you bring your concerns. I'll provide answers. I'll provide guidance. The idea is that you boost your confidence in all of your sales situations and scenarios. So join the Sales Maven Society now by going to salesmavensociety.com. This is a monthly membership. It's $147 a month. We have some amazing things going on in there. Guest trainers that I'm paying to come in and speak to the group and teach them the content that they really need right now. I will be providing more content in there. There will be more opportunities as a member to be recognized and elevate yourself in the group so that the people who need you right now are ready to hire you. There's an opportunity to do this. So come join the Sales Maven Society. There's no long-term commitment. You can come for 1 month. If it's not a good fit for you, you can exit, stage right, no hard feelings. And as a matter of fact, I know the value of this group. My members know the value of this group. So I'm going to give you a coupon code to give you a big savings to just dip your toe in the water and come join us. You can join for your first month right now for $47. I've made some changes. So here's the code. Enter coupon code 47trial when you go to salesmavensociety.com to sign up. Enter that coupon code 47trial and your first month is only $47. So you can dip your toe in the water. You can get access to these questions in a format that's going to do some deep dive training around them, how to use them, when to use them, all that good stuff. So come join. We'd love to have you be a part of the group. And if we haven't connected yet on social media, let's do that. You will find me. I hang out in Facebook in the group, in the Sales Maven Society group every day. But I also am on LinkedIn regularly and I'm on Instagram regularly. I'd love to connect with you. So come connect with me. You can find me as Nikki Roush. You can find me as Sales Maven. Pretty easy to find. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Please go forward and make your connection, information, and request really count for you. Take the time to make those messages relevant to the reader. Good luck. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.